everyone is doing well. Poured down rain here yesterday. Came out of the nowhere. I always like the sound of the rain. My sweet boy. Okay, chapter 10. Using the wheel for everyday guidance. Your archetypal wheel is only the first of many that you can cast for guidance in all areas of your life. While your archetypal wheel creates a portrait of your life patterns, other wheels, which I call working charts, can be cast whenever you have a concern or need in intuitive guidance. You can use them to shed light on your relationships, career, and other experiences from your everyday world. The working charts help you practice your symbolic sight and view your life as a continuous process of spiritual growth. Working charts can also inspire creative thinking when you are beginning a new enterprise. It's profoundly empowering to be in touch with your archetypes when you are dealing with other people. A man named Rick, for instance, cast a chart for guidance in starting his own e-commerce business. And the three most significant pairings in his working chart: Rick's entrepreneur archetype landed in his 6th house, occupation and health. His warrior landed in his 1st house, ego and personality. And his prostitute fell into the 7th house, marriage and relationships. He interpreted the 6th house entrepreneur as a positive sign that it was possible to bring his business idea into fruition. The combination of the warrior in his 1st house and the prostitute in the 7th told him to be mindful of how he approached people when seeking financial backing. Rick realized that in his enthusiasm for this business venture, his excitement or his 1st house ego energy could come across too forcibly and put off other people. That archetype, combined with the prostitute in his house of relationships, cautioned him to be mindful of his own motives with people, particularly in terms of any personal compromises he might have to make to get the business started. The technique for casting a working chart is almost identical to the technique for casting your archetypal wheel. You use the same 12 archetypal patterns and you prepare by clearing your mind. But for your working chart, you focus your attention and phrase your intention differently. Rick, for example, asked, "How are my archetypes aligned in service to my new business venture?" Consider this process as similar to the manner in which you pray for guidance. The only real difference is that a grounded, practical, and immediate response comes through working your chart. Responses to prayer can be immediate too, but they may also unfold in time. Interpreting the information you receive on a working chart does not require the same amount of time as interpreting your archetypal wheel. First of all, you should by now already have a perspective on your lifelong relationship with each archetype. And secondly, you're directing your attention to a specific area of your life. One of the benefits of taking the time to reflect on your answers to the numerous questions involved with your chart of origin is that the process familiarizes you with your archetypal patterns, and you can interpret your working chart faster and more confidently. Nevertheless, the more time you take to study the symbolic meaning of each chart you cast, the deeper will be your insights and your intuitive rapport with the process. How many is too many? In one sense, there are no limits of how many working charts you can cast, because guidance is always available. At the same time, though, you need to respect the process of receiving guidance so that ultimately you learn to rely on your own inner voice. Casting a chart or the tarot, I Ching, or any other source of guidance for every minor decision in life will eventually render you incapable of trusting your own instincts. Please avoid the temptation to cast working charts repeatedly regarding the same matter. Think through the guidance you have already received from the first chart before casting a second. Allow your insights to make their way through both your conscious and your unconscious mind, and to provide you with feedback on which you make your choices. A working chart is not a means to see the future. The information it offers can help you gain higher perspective on the meaning of what is taking place in your life. Many people want the charts to provide them with information on what is going on in the mind or heart of another person. This too is a misuse of the wheel. Your focus should be on the emotions and thoughts in your own mind and heart, and the quality of your own actions and motivations. One woman asked me to help her interpret a chart that she had cast about her relationship with a man she was dating. She was frustrated that she couldn't get a fix on what he was thinking about her and whether he was serious about the relationship. What he was thinking was not her business. Her business was to understand what she was thinking and why she was so insecure and jealous. Everyone falls prey to this desire to know more about someone else, to find a way to second guess other people. Keep your attention focused on your motivations. Phrase your intentions like an adult, asking, "Why did he do this to me?" is completely inappropriate. The question should be, "What is the learning dynamic that has drawn me into this relationship? What is the lesson for me in this relationship?" Your best approach to mastering how to interpret your archetypal patterns is to practice detachment. Get some symbolic distance from the situation and remain impersonal and open about the information you are seeking. Use the 3-column model on page 194 to help you. The woman who wanted to know about the emotional intentions of the man she was dating had a personal agenda that was dominated by her insecurities and emotional need to discover what he was thinking. I can assure you that you too will confront the same intention in yourself, because being impersonal about your own life feels unnatural at first. Nonetheless, detachment is the most effective way of understanding events and relationships and responding appropriately to them. A final word of caution. Please do not, under any circumstance, use this tool to diagnose either your physical health or anyone else's. People often ask me how to interpret their archetypes to find out whether they have an illness, what the progression of that illness will be, or whether someone else's illness is terminal. Requests for life and death information are outside the purview of this tool. If you have questions concerning your health, consult with a qualified medical professional. Phrasing your intentions. Keeping your questions and intentions simple. The following focus, for example, is too complicated. I am seeking a greater understanding of why my childhood was difficult and why my mother was critical of me. This is really two questions. One, why your child was difficult. Two, the lesson inherent in your having a hypercritical mother. Word your questions impersonally, and when possible, identify the archetypal pattern with which you are working. For example, I am seeking insight into the relationship of my victim archetype to my mother. Your attention, your intention should be directed to what you are meant to learn through your contract with your mother, as opposed to why your mother behaved as she did. Your intention should be directed to what you are meant to learn through your contract with your mother or any other person you have had a difficult past with, as opposed to why did they treat me that way. We tend to want to know why things happen to us as they did and ask questions accordingly. We would love the divine to provide us with logical explanations that condemn the wrongful deeds done to us, while conveniently avoiding any mention of what we have done to others. But life will never be logical, nor will it ever seem wholly fair. Even the many surprise blessings in life defy logic. I know people who met their life partners when they got lost and had to ask someone for directions, and that someone turned out to be the love of their life. Of such an illogical happenstance, we could also ask, what did I do to deserve such a magical experience? We'll never know that either. How fairness is worked out within the human experience is not for us to know. Our task is to learn to cope with all that we feel that we do not deserve, good or bad, in ways that empower us, and to pursue as best we can the development of our highest potential in all our endeavors. Remember that your highest potential is not measured by one accomplishment. Everything you do and all your relationships have an inherent potential that seems to reveal itself most clearly when you seek understanding with an appreciative heart. The ultimate goal of all your requests for guidance should be led you toward that potential. To stimulate your intuitive intelligence, begin your questions with the words, I am open. So then there's a list of appropriate requests. I'm just going to read some of these. I'll read all of these. Appropriate requests. Illness. I am open to receiving one healing insight about my stress patterns and this illness. I am open to receiving one healing insight to help me move forward. Reconciliation. I am open to recognizing why I block reconciliation with whoever this you're thinking of. I am open to guidance as to positive first step. Creativity. I am open to recognizing my best creative contribution to said project. I am open to receiving guidance on how to proceed with my work. I am open to receiving guidance about why I block my creativity. Finances. I am open to receiving guidance about my fears of earning money. I am open to receiving guidance about my fear of losing money. I am open to receiving guidance on how to earn money. Competition. I am open to receiving guidance about why I feel so competitive with whoever you're competitive with. I am open to receiving guidance on how to release my negative connection to. I am open to receiving guidance about how to work with whoever it is for my own empowerment as well as for his or hers. Loneliness. I am open to guidance about how best to cope with the moment with my emotions. I am open to guidance about how to appreciate my own life. Moving. I am open to guidance about whether this is the right time to move. Quitting a job. I am open to guidance about whether this is the right time to quit my job. I am open to guidance about my core reasons for wanting to quit. I am open to guidance about my own negative contribution to the disappointment I feel in my work. Accepting a job offer. I am open to guidance about this job offer. Relationships. I am open to receiving the core lesson in this relationship. I am open to recognizing my deepest fear in this relationship. I am open to recognizing the gift of this relationship. I am open to insight into why I feel so negative toward why I hold on to feeling hurt in my relationship with, why I feel abandoned by. I am open to insight into my tendency toward dishonest words, deeds. I am open to insight into how to work through my difficulty regarding such problem. I am open to insight why I am losing my power in this relationship. I am open to insight into why I withhold my emotional support of this individual. I am open to insight into the reason why I can't forgive so and so, why I need his or her approval. I am open to insight into my challenge with low self-esteem, both in general and in specific relationships or situations. I am open to insight with my struggle with commitment regarding my relationship with a person, a job, some promise to myself, or any use of wording that you want. I am open to guidance into my ungrounded nature in relationships. I am open to guidance into my aggressive nature in relationships. I am open to insight into how to respond to another's aggressive feelings towards me. I am open to insight into how to maintain my center of power. I am open to insight into why I do not want to give this person emotional support. I am open to insight into how best to support this person. I am open to insight into my need to control whoever it is, one person at a time. I am open to insight into my dependency on whoever you may be dependent on. I am open to insight into my need to rescue others. I am open to insight into my need to be rescued. Releasing a relationship. I am open to guidance about why I hold on to this relationship. I am open to guidance about how to release this relationship with gratitude. Soul retrieval. I am open to guidance about how to call back my spirit from, name the relationship or experience. Spiritual fears. I am open to insight into why I fear intimacy with God, or whatever name you use to identify the divine. Fear of surrender. I am open to insight into why I am unable to surrender my willpower in, identify the circumstance. Spiritual guidance. I am open to any guidance that I should focus on today. Dreams. I am open to insight into interpreting a specific dream. Intuition. I am open to guidance on interpreting my intuitive hit regarding whatever it is. Childhood. I am open to insights into my feelings of, identify your feelings with, name the person. Pride. Why is my pride preventing me from forgiving, accepting, loving, whoever? Inappropriate questions. Pregnancy. Should I have an abortion? Health. Do I have, name the illness, should I have this treatment? Relationships. Why isn't he, she calling me? Is he, she dating someone else? Why did he, she leave me? Inappropriate. Inappropriate. Stealing and lying. Is so-and-so stealing from me, lying to me? Inappropriate questions. Parents. Why were my parents mean to me? These are inappropriate questions. Let me reemphasize that you should avoid phrasing your questions in a way that supports your victim in you. Why did they hurt me? Or that focuses on getting into another person's psyche. Why is Julie acting distant toward me? This is not the purpose of this tool. Until this practice becomes second nature, you have to remind yourself continually that you are looking for understanding and direction about how best to work with and through your contract with a particular person or experience. Your goal is to come away from interpreting your archetypal wheel and working your charts feeling empowered with a sense that all your contracts serve for your growth and that nothing that happens to you has a negative intent. After you have phrased your intention as clearly as possible, you are ready to release your intention, cast your chart, begin your interpretation of the archetypal configuration that manifests. Okay, that's it for today. That was pretty cool. Oh, let me see what archetype we left off at. Hi, baby. Hold on. Mother. We left off at Mother. This one is Mystic. Perhaps no archetype is more coveted by my students or more misunderstood than the Mystic. Many want to believe that they have mystical inclinations, yet underestimate how arduous the genuine mystical path is. When they find out, they're usually happy to let someone else have this role. The lives of the world's greatest mystics have often included extraordinary states of consciousness, such as prolonged ecstatic trances and preternatural abilities of precognition or bilocation. Yet they also contain sometimes great physical as well as spiritual suffering, hard work, and mundane activities that made up much of their days. If you truly want to name this archetype as part of your sacred consortium, ask yourself if you are ready to pay the price in blood, sweat, and tears. If mystical consciousness is something you gauge in once a day during meditation, or on a weekend retreat or a yoga workshop, you may be a spiritual seeker, but not a mystic. The single-minded dedication of the mystic carries over to renunciate, who relinquishes a material desire for ambitions to pursue spiritual practice. The anchorite, who withdraws from the world almost entirely to follow a similar path, and the hermit, who withdraws from others to pursue a solitary life, although not always for spiritual purposes. The shadow mystic manifests as an egocentric concern for one's own spiritual progress to the exclusion of others, and an attendant sense of self-importance at having achieved higher states of consciousness. It may also emerge in behavior that takes advantage of admirers or students in base economic, emotional, or sexual ways. Since genuine enlightenment manifests as the desire to be of service, this is a pretty good indication that you haven't arrived yet. Films: Catherine Mouchet in Theresa, Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Emily Watson in Breaking the Waves. Drama: Agnes of God by John Pelemeyer. Fiction: Lying Awake by Mark Salzman. Religion and myth: all the great traditions have produced mystics, of which the following are a small representative sample: Teresa of Avila, Meister Eckhart, William Law, Hildegard of Bingen, Christianity, Baal Shem Tov, Moses ben Nahum and Abraham Abulaf, Judaism, Rabbi Ibn al-Arabi and Mansur al-Hallaj, Islam, Sri Ramakrishna, Anandamaya Ma, and Ramana Maharishi, Hinduism, Bodhidharma, Milarepa, Bankai, and Pema Chodron, Buddhism, Shaoxu and Wang Pi, Taoism, Padrinho Sabiasto and Credo Mutwa, Shamanism. Interesting. Okay, that's it.